Anti-Semitism is, no doubt in my mind, evil, vile and disgusting. It should behoove people to take appropriate precautions not to let anti-Semitism spread. It's a cancer that should be put down. Anti-Semitism should not exist. But anyway, I wanted to talk quickly about a clip from Eastenders. Everybody knows what Eastenders is. It's been running for the past 30 or so years. It's one of the most well-known soap operas in the UK, along with Coronation Street and others. On the campaign against anti-Semitism, I came across this video that tried to allege that the BBC was anti-Semitic. I don't know the full history of Jews with respect to the BBC, although if my memory serves me correctly, they do have a history of being anti-Israel. As far as I know, I need to recheck. But I want to focus on a specific clip that is found within the context of the Eastenders episode. Specifically, it was yesterday's episode. My mum happened to have it playing earlier today. And essentially the clip that was brought up in question was when Stacey asks Dot about what to do with her son Arthur. And one of the statements that was used to try and say there was anti-Semitism in Dot's line was this. And this was the line from the program in question. Stacey asks Dot about a stained glass window. Are they the three wise men? To which Dot replies, yes, bringing their gifts to Jesus. Only Herod, king of the Jews. He tried to trick him into betraying Jesus. That was essentially the quotation that was used in the program. There was an Agatha Christie clip that was shown, but I would need to look at the context of that program before I can make any comment on it. But I want to comment on the clip from Eastenders and offer my own perspective. Firstly, this is what Campaign Against Anti-Semitism said. There is nothing new about nativity stories in which the villains are all Jews, and the fact that Jesus was Jewish is forgotten. But why is the tradition alive and well at the BBC? Artistic license allows distortion for artistic purposes. Anti-Semitic license, there is no such thing. If anti-Semitism is gratuitous and irrelevant to the story or art, cut it out. This is supposed to be elementary. The BBC has its own complaints hotline. It seems to specialise in telling Jews why they were wrong to be offended. Ofcom has jurisdiction over the BBC in matters of racism. This year's MPs will vote on renewing the BBC's charter. You can contact your MP using www.writetothem.com. That is essentially what was said in the video. But looking at the clip in context, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure what allegation of anti-Semitism is remotely there. The only thing that Dot was saying was that Herod was king of the Jews. There was nothing in the context of Dot's words that was portraying the Jews as the villains. The only thing she was saying was what Herod was. For those who are not aware, Herod of the Bible was an Edomite, a descendant of Esau. The two nations, Edom and Israel, both came from Esau and Jacob. The Edomites were judged for how they treated the Israelites, and thus their people would be destroyed. You can find this in the book of Obadiah. But their people weren't destroyed immediately, and eventually the Edomites died out with the death of Herod and his son, or sons. But putting that aside, Herod was a king that was set over Israel, but not by the Jews themselves. The Jews did not appoint Herod as the king, and they were subject under the rule of his thumb. The Romans appointed Herod as a king over the Jewish people. Dot's statement in the context of the episode was not a disparaging remark towards the Jewish people. Whether that was the BBC's intention or not, I don't know, but contextually the episode was not trying to imply that the Jews were villainous. Dot was simply making a statement about who Herod was, that he was the king of the Jews. The specifics of how Herod was the king of the Jews was not important to the point that Dot was making to Stacey. It was in the context of how to keep Arthur safe. That was the context in which she was speaking. If there is any anti-Semitic intention behind the episode itself, and if it is a stab at the Jews, then I would be absolutely outraged. Though the episode was playing in the background, and I rewatched the clip again for the sake of this video, there was not a single part of that episode which made me think they're attacking the Jews. If they had Dot shove in a disparaging remark, and if the episode was used as a platform for attacking the Jews and certain words which I shall not be mentioning on this channel at all, because those words are so vile, and I absolutely refuse to utter that word in any context. If the episode was used as a platform for the writers to voice their opinion on the Jewish people, and that they actually do see the Jews as subhuman, then that's the time for outrage. But observing the clip for myself, I didn't see any disparaging comments toward the Jews in the context of the program. It was just one scene that came up. It is commendable that there are people out there fighting against anti-Semitism, and I do respect that. If you're fighting against anti-Semitism, you and I are on the same team. But let us step back, think about what is true anti-Semitism and what is not, lest we fall into two different extremes. If you want another good case of someone overreacting to something, take a look at Confused Matthew's video on the Star Wars trailer. Anti-Semitism is a big problem that must be fought. I don't deny this. Anti-Semitism has to be expunged, destroyed, and obliterated. And it certainly should have no place even in a Christian's mouth. Thank you for taking the time to watch.